Maya did not look at the security desk. She looked at Evelyn's mouth, the small pause between each breath, the way her fingers had begun to lose strength around the folded slip. The rules said a patient had to be checked in before triage. The training said chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness, and age changed everything. Maya set her tray down on the nearest empty chair. "Ma'am, I'm going to check your oxygen level." Denise stood up so fast her chair rolled back and tapped the wall. "Nurse Reed, you need to step away from my desk." Maya reached into her scrub pocket and pulled out a small pulse oximeter. "I'm not at your desk. I'm with a patient." The word patient made Denise's face harden. Around them, the lobby had gone quiet in pieces. A man lowered his magazine. A mother pulled her little boy closer. The security guard near the entrance kept one hand on his radio but did not move. Evelyn tried to pull back. "I don't want trouble, baby." Maya softened her voice. "You're not trouble." She clipped the device gently onto Evelyn's finger. The old woman's nail was clean but pale, and her hand felt cold. The numbers blinked, climbed, dropped, then settled low enough to make Maya's stomach tighten. She checked again, this time placing 2 fingers against Evelyn's wrist. The pulse was uneven, skipping like a song with missing notes. "I need a wheelchair," Maya said. Denise came around the counter. Her heels struck the tile in quick, angry beats. "You are not admitting her through the lobby because she made you feel sorry for her." Maya kept one hand on Evelyn's shoulder. "She is short of breath, hypoxic, and she has a cardiology appointment slip in her hand. A slip is not clearance. A deleted appointment is not medical judgment." That sentence cut through the room. Denise's eyes flicked toward the people watching. She smiled then, but it was not a kind smile. It was the kind people used when they wanted a crowd to believe they were still in control. "Everyone, please remain seated. We have a nurse refusing to follow intake protocol." Maya felt heat rise along her neck, but she did not answer the performance. She waved to an orderly by the hallway. "Wheelchair. Now, please." The orderly hesitated, glancing at Denise, then at Maya. Maya stepped closer to Evelyn as the older woman's knees bent slightly. That decided it. The orderly ran. Denise grabbed the phone at the front desk. "I'm calling the charge nurse and HR." "Call them," Maya said. Her voice shook once, then steadied. "Tell them I checked a woman who couldn't breathe." The wheelchair arrived with one front wheel squeaking. Maya helped Evelyn sit, tucking the old woman's canvas bag against her side so it would not fall. Evelyn caught Maya's wrist before she could straighten. "What's your name?" "Maya Reed." Evelyn nodded as if she were filing the name somewhere safe. "Maya Reed," she repeated. "Thank you for seeing me." Maya pushed the chair toward the triage doors. Denise followed 2 steps behind, speaking into the phone now. "Yes, I need this documented." Nurse Reed bypassed front desk clearance, disrupted the lobby, and moved an unverified walk-in toward clinical space. The words were neat, clean, dangerous. At the triage threshold, the charge nurse appeared, confused and irritated, but Maya was already giving numbers, symptoms, time, pulse, oxygen level, and the fact that the appointment had been visible before it vanished. She did not accuse. She recorded. She wrote the time on the back of Evelyn's slip with a black pen from her pocket, pressing hard enough to leave a groove. Denise saw it. Her expression changed. "You can't write on hospital documents like that." Maya looked at the paper, then at the woman in the chair. "Then add it to my report." 20 minutes later, after Evelyn had been taken behind the double doors, Maya stood in the staff corridor while Denise and the charge nurse spoke in low voices near the nurse's station. The charge nurse would not meet Maya's eyes. Then she said the words quietly, like making them softer would make them hurt less. "Maya, you're off the floor for the rest of the shift pending review." Maya's badge suddenly felt heavy against her chest. She thought of rent, groceries, her mother's prescription waiting at the pharmacy. Denise stood behind the charge nurse with her arms folded, already looking calm. Again, Maya unclipped her badge with slow fingers and placed it on the counter. As she turned to leave, she felt something in her scrub pocket. Evelyn's folded appointment slip. Maya opened it just enough to see the old handwriting on the back, the sentence about no patient being a burden, and beneath it, a second line she had not noticed before, SC Founder's Office. Before Maya could understand what it meant, her phone buzzed with a message from HR. Formal incident statement required by 5 p.m. Maya sat alone in the small employee break room with her badge missing from her chest and Evelyn's appointment slip spread flat on the table beneath the vending machine light. The paper looked ordinary until she tilted it. Then the old hospital logo appeared in the faded corner. Not the silver bridge used now, but a small blue cross wrapped inside 2 open hands. Under the sentence about no patient being a burden, the initials SC had been written in dark ink that had browned with age. Maya traced the letters without touching them. Founder's Office. Could have meant anything. A donor. A retired doctor. A forgotten department from before the hospital became a glass tower. Still, the words would not leave her alone. Her phone buzzed again. HR wanted a statement. Denise wanted a version. The hospital wanted paperwork before Truth had even found a chair to sit in. Maya opened a blank note on her phone and wrote only what she had seen. 9:06 a.m. Patient breathing hard at front desk. Appointment visible. Denise turned screen. 3 clicks. Name gone. She stopped there because her hands were shaking, not from fear exactly, but from the strange weight of knowing one sentence could either protect her or bury her. 6 floors above, behind frosted glass and a hallway lined with donor portraits, Dr. Marcus Carter stood at the head of a conference table while a dozen board members argued over expansion numbers. His suit was dark. His tie loosened just enough to show the day had already pulled at him. On the wall behind him hung a framed photograph of his father, Dr. Samuel Carter, smiling beside the first brick entrance of Mercy Bridge. In the old photo, the hospital looked small enough to know every patient by name. Marcus's phone lit up face down near his folder. He ignored it once, then again. On the 3rd vibration, he turned it over. The message was from his mother. I went in through the front door today. Don't send anyone yet. For a second, the voices around the table thinned into nothing. Marcus read it twice. His thumb hovered over the call button, but another message appeared before he could press it. I needed to see whether your father's promise still lives here when nobody knows my name. Marcus pushed back his chair. The board went quiet. Dr. Carter? Cynthia Vale asked from the far end, her tablet held against her chest like a shield. Marcus did not answer her. He stepped into the hallway and called his mother. It rang 4 times before a nurse picked up, not Evelyn. This is Mercy Bridge Cardiac Intake. This is Dr. Carter. Who am I speaking with? The nurse straightened so hard he could hear it in her voice. Sir, this is Angela from Triage. Is Evelyn Carter with you? A pause. Too long. She's being evaluated. Evaluated for what? Shortness of breath. Low oxygen. Irregular pulse. Marcus closed his eyes. When he opened them, he was looking directly at his father's portrait across the hallway. Who brought her in? A nurse. Maya Reed. Another pause. She may be in trouble for it. Marcus did not raise his voice. That made it worse. Preserve all lobby camera footage from 8:30 onward. Preserve front desk audit logs, check-in edits, staff access records, and security notes. No one deletes anything. Yes, sir. And no one tells the front desk why. He ended the call and stood still for one breath. Then another. Behind the conference room door, Cynthia had come out quietly. Marcus, is there a problem? He turned to her. My mother came through the front entrance today. Cynthia's expression changed by half an inch, but only half. Your mother, without an escort. Cynthia looked down the hall toward the elevators. Then we should get her moved to private care immediately. No, the word landed flat. She came through the front door. I want to know what happened at the front door. Downstairs, Maya finished her statement and slipped the folded paper into a plain envelope from the break room cabinet. She wrote Evelyn Carter on the front, then stopped. Carter, the same name as the CEO on every staff email. The same name engraved under the founder's portrait in the lobby. Her pulse kicked once. It was probably a coincidence. It had to be. Then the break room door opened, and Mr. Lewis from security stepped inside, holding his cap in both hands. "Nurse Reed," he said softly, "you didn't hear this from me, but someone just put the front desk camera on maintenance hold." Mr. Lewis did not stay long enough to explain. He placed one finger to his lips, stepped back into the corridor, and disappeared toward the security station with his cap low over his brow. Maya sat frozen for half a second, then folded Evelyn's envelope and slid it inside her scrub jacket. If someone was putting the camera on maintenance hold, the story was already moving faster than the truth. She walked out of the break room expecting another warning. Maybe security, maybe Denise waiting with that clean smile. Instead, a woman in a navy suit stood by the staff elevators with a leather folder pressed against her hip. Her hair was silver at the temples, pulled back tight, and her badge said Grace Holloway, Patient Advocacy. Maya Reed. Maya's first instinct was to protect the envelope. Her hand went to her pocket. Grace noticed but did not comment. "I'm not here to discipline you," Grace said. "Then why are you here?" "Because a patient almost became invisible at our front desk. And you were the only person who treated that like an emergency." The elevator behind Grace opened with a soft bell. Inside, the walls were mirrored, the floor spotless, the buttons marked with floors Maya had only seen on orientation day. Executive conference. Legal. Compliance. Founders Hall. Maya did not move. "Am I required to go with you?" Grace studied her. No, that answer mattered. Maya stepped in because she chose to. The elevator rose without shaking. Each floor they passed seemed to strip away the sounds of the hospital she knew. The coughing in the lobby, the squeak of wheelchairs, the overhead pages, the vending machines humming outside the break room. When the doors opened, the hallway smelled like polished wood instead of disinfectant. Framed photographs lined the walls. Ribbon cuttings, charity galas, surgeons shaking hands with donors. A black doctor in a white coat standing beside a brick building with two open hands painted on the sign. Maya slowed when she saw the same old logo from Evelyn's paper. Grace saw her look. That was before the expansion. Before the front desk started deciding who looked worth helping? Maya asked. Grace did not smile. "That's what we are here to find out." She led Maya into a glass-walled room where a long table waited with water bottles arranged in a perfect line. At one end sat Cynthia Vale, the hospital's chief operating officer, dressed in cream silk and gold-rimmed glasses, her tablet open, her expression calm enough to be rehearsed. Beside her sat a man from HR and a compliance officer with a recorder between them. Cynthia looked at Maya's scrubs, then at the empty space where her badge should have been. "Nurse Reed," she said warmly, too warmly. "I'm sorry this morning became stressful." Maya remained standing until Grace pulled out a chair for her. It became dangerous before it became stressful. The HR man clicked his pen. Cynthia leaned forward. "We respect passion, but hospitals survive on protocol. If every nurse bypasses intake because she feels sympathy, the system collapses." Maya looked at the recorder, then at Cynthia's hands folded on the table. "Smooth. Still. No panique. I didn't bypass intake because of sympathy. I responded to breathing distress." Grace opened her folder. "Walk us through it. Only what you saw. Times if you have them." This was the first test. Not emotion. Precision. Maya took out her phone, opened her notes, and placed it where everyone could see she was not hiding anything. 9:06. Patient at front desk, visibly short of breath. 9:07. Appointment visible on Clerk screen before the monitor was turned. 9:08. Clerk stated incomplete coverage. 9:09. Patient's name no longer on the list. 9:10. Pulse ox reading low. Pulse irregular. Cynthia's eyes sharpened at the word visible. "You saw private information on a staff screen?" "I saw a patient's name before it disappeared." "That's a serious claim. So is deleting it." The compliance officer looked up. Grace did too. For the first time, Cynthia's mask shifted. Not enough for everyone, but enough for Maya. Then Grace asked, "Do you have anything else?" Maya touched the envelope in her pocket. Giving it up could help Evelyn. It could also put the only physical clue in hands she did not trust. She made a choice. She removed the folded appointment slip but kept her fingers on it. I'll provide a copy to patient advocacy and compliance together. Not to one department alone. Cynthia's smile returned, thinner now. You're making demands while under review? Maya met her eyes. I'm protecting the patient record. Grace reached for the copier built into the cabinet behind her. A minute later, the machine's light swept over the old paper, catching the faded logo, the handwriting, the initials. Cynthia watched the copy slide out. She saw SC, Founder's Office. Her face went still. Across the table, her phone lit up with a message Maya was not meant to read. But the screen faced her for one careless second. Front desk story contained. Read is the problem. Grace did not react to the message on Cynthia's phone, but Maya saw the older woman's eyes move once, quick as a needle. The room stayed polite, which made it more dangerous. Nurse Reed, Grace said, sliding the copy of Evelyn's slip into a clear sleeve. The patient is still in cardiac intake. I'd like you to help me verify the non-clinical timeline. Cynthia's pen stopped moving. She's suspended from the floor. From clinical duty, Grace said. Not from answering questions. Maya understood the difference and the risk inside it. If she stayed, Denise could call it defiance. If she left, the story would belong to people who had already started sanding the sharp edges off it. She stood. I'll help with the timeline. They moved through a back hallway most nurses never used, past offices with frosted names on glass doors and framed awards for community care. Grace walked fast, but not ahead of Maya. The first records alcove. She opened a terminal and turned the screen slightly so Maya could see the audit request form, not the patient chart. Tell me only what you're authorized to confirm, Grace said. That small respect settled something in Maya's chest. She pointed to the intake queue log. There. The patient's appointment wasn't created today. It was pre-scheduled. Cardiology follow-up. Grace nodded. So she wasn't a walk-in. No, Maya leaned closer. And look at the status change. It didn't go from scheduled to checked in. It went from scheduled to incomplete, then no-show. Who made the change? Grace clicked once, then stopped before opening details she wanted compliance present to view. We'll pull that formally. Maya almost smiled. Not because anything was funny, but because Grace was building a case the way nurses built a care plan. Observe, document, verify, escalate. Downstairs, the lobby had changed shape. Denise was back behind the counter, speaking gently to a man in a blazer as if kindness had always lived in her voice. When she saw Maya with Grace, her smile held, but one red nail tapped against the desk. Maya did not approach her. Instead, she went to the triage doorway and found Evelyn in a recliner, a blood pressure cuff around her arm, an oxygen tube beneath her nose, her canvas bag resting at her feet. Evelyn looked smaller under hospital lights, but her eyes were clear. You came back, she said. Maya pulled a chair close. I said I would make sure you were seen. They sent you home. They tried. Evelyn gave a breath that was almost a laugh. Maya checked the blanket tucked over the older woman's knees, adjusted it where one corner had slipped, and asked the nurse beside her for permission before touching anything else. It was a tiny thing asking first, but Evelyn noticed. So did Grace from the doorway. Evelyn reached into her canvas bag and pulled out a worn leather keychain shaped like two open hands, the same hands from the old logo. The leather was cracked at the edges, polished dark where fingers had held it for years. My husband used to give these to people who stayed late for the right reasons, she said. Maya glanced at the initials stamped on the back. SC, your husband worked here? Evelyn looked toward the glass wall that separated triage from the lobby. Denise was visible beyond it, bright and polished and already rewriting herself for the next patient. He believed this place belonged first to the sick, then to the people paid to protect them. That was not an answer, not fully. It was another door left open. Before Maya could ask more, Grace's phone vibrated. She listened for 10 seconds, then her face hardened. Thank you, she said, and hung up. The front desk camera file is marked unavailable pending maintenance. Maya's fingers closed around the keychain. Mr. Lewis warned me. There's more, Grace said. Denise has filed a formal complaint. She claims you frightened patients, mishandled a document, and attempted to push an unverified woman into treatment for personal reasons. Evelyn turned her head slowly. Personal reasons? Grace lowered her voice. Cynthia is calling an emergency review this afternoon. The small victory vanished into colder air. Maya looked through the glass. Denise was no longer pretending not to watch. She was typing fast now, her shoulders squared, her mouth tight. Beside her, Cynthia had arrived at the front desk and placed one manicured hand on the counter like a queen claiming territory. Denise leaned toward her and whispered something. Cynthia did not look at Maya. She looked at Evelyn's chair, then at the old keychain in Maya's hand, and for the first time, fear crossed her face before she buried it. Cynthia did not raise her voice at the emergency review. She did not need to. She walked into the small conference room beside the lobby with Denise on one side, HR on the other, and a stack of printed pages held neatly against her cream suit. The room had been chosen carefully. Glass walls, visible from the nurse's station. Close enough for staff to see Maya sitting alone at the end of the table without hearing every word. It looked less like an investigation and more like a lesson. We are here, Cynthia began, because patient safety depends on order. Denise lowered her eyes at the perfect moment, playing wounded professionalism with both. Hands folded in her lap. Cynthia placed the first page on the table. This is a written complaint from front desk staff. The HR man slid it toward Maya. The words were clean and poisonous. Nurse Reed became emotionally involved with an unverified walk-in. Nurse Reed raised her voice. Nurse Reed created fear in the lobby. Nurse Reed handled patient documents without authorization. Maya read each line slowly, her face still, but her thumb pressed into the side of her finger until it hurt. That isn't what happened. Cynthia's expression softened for the room. I believe you believe that. It was worse than calling her a liar. It made her sound unstable. Denise lifted her chin just enough. I was trying to protect the hospital from liability. She kept pushing. You deleted her name, Maya said. Denise looked offended. I corrected an incomplete intake. Cynthia opened the second page. We also have statements from 2 employees who said they heard you accuse Ms. Harper of deleting records before any review was completed. Maya looked toward the glass. 2 clerks near the desk suddenly found reasons to look down. People she had greeted every morning. People who had watched Evelyn lean against the counter. The betrayal did not arrive like a knife. It arrived like a door closing softly. Grace sat across from Maya, silent, listening, letting the lies build shape before cutting into them. Maya understood then that if she reacted too fast, they would use her reaction as proof. So she changed tactics. She took out her small notebook. May I ask when those statements were collected? Cynthia blinked once. This morning. Before or after the camera was placed on maintenance hold? The room tightened. HR stopped writing. Denise's hand moved toward her necklace. Cynthia gave a careful smile. Technical issues are not relevant to your conduct. They are relevant if the conduct being described is on that camera. Nurse Reed, Cynthia said, voice lower now. You are under review. This is not a courtroom. No, Maya said. It's a hospital, which is why the patient should matter more than my tone. For the first time, Grace looked at her, and there was warning in her eyes. Careful. Cynthia saw it too and moved in. She tapped the third page. A visitor recorded part of the incident. She turned her tablet around. The clip began with Maya pushing Evelyn's wheelchair toward triage while Denise followed, saying, Stop! You cannot do that. It ended before the oxygen check, before the trembling hand, before the deleted name. In the frozen final frame, Maya looked forceful, Denise looked responsible, and Evelyn looked like a confused old woman being pulled into a fight. Denise whispered, That's what I was trying to prevent. The HR man avoided Maya's eyes. Maya stared at the video, then at the corner of the frame. A reflection in the glass showed the lobby clock. 9:12. 2 minutes after her oxygen reading. The clip had not just been short. It had been chosen. Who sent this? Maya asked. Cynthia closed the tablet. A concerned visitor. I'd like the original file requested. You are not in a position to request anything. Then I'm asking patient advocacy to request it. Cynthia's face chilled. This is exactly the problem. You do not know where your authority ends. Maya leaned back. She remembered every second now as if her body had stored what the camera lost. Denise's nails on the keyboard, the monitor turning, Evelyn's paper sliding back, Mr. Lewis by the security desk, the little boy with the blue backpack watching from the third row. Details mattered. Details survived lies. She wrote 4 words in her notebook. Clock, reflection, backpack, elevator. Then the door opened. A young clerk stepped in, embarrassed, holding Maya's badge in a small plastic evidence bag. Ms. Vale asked me to bring this. Cynthia accepted it without looking away from Maya. Pending investigation, Nurse Reed's access will remain suspended. You are not to enter clinical areas, contact the patient, or discuss this matter with staff. Maya's throat tightened, but she did not beg. And Mrs. Carter? Cynthia's smile returned like a locked gate. The patient is being handled by appropriate personnel now. Denise looked relieved too soon. That was the mistake. Grace noticed it. Maya noticed it. But before either could speak, HR slid the final paper across the table. Administrative leave without pay, effective immediately. Maya saw the amount she would lose before she saw the signature line. Rent, groceries, her mother's prescription. Cynthia placed a pen beside the document. Sign acknowledgement before you leave. Maya looked through the glass toward the lobby, where the front desk was already moving as if nothing had happened. Then her eyes caught the mirrored elevator doors across from Denise's station. The camera above them was still lit with a tiny green dot. Maya did not sign the paper. She wrote received, not agreed beside the signature line, placed the pen down, and walked out with her empty badge clip tapping against her scrub top like a small public shame. Nobody stopped her. That was the cruelest part. The hospital kept breathing around her. Phones ringing, printers coughing, shoes squeaking over polished tile, while her job, her rent, and her name were quietly folded into a file Cynthia controlled. Outside the staff entrance, Maya sat on the concrete bench near the ambulance bay and opened her banking app with cold fingers. The numbers were already too thin. Her mother's pharmacy reminder lit up next. Refill ready for pickup. She turned the phone face down on her knee. For 1 minute, she let herself feel the weight of it. Then the automatic doors hissed open behind her. Mr. Lewis came out carrying a black trash bag from the security office. Though there was barely anything in it, he did not look at her at first. They told us not to discuss the incident, he said. Maya wiped under one eye before he could see too much. Then don't. He sat at the other end of the bench. Between them, ambulances backed in and out, red lights spinning without sirens. That camera you noticed, he said quietly, above the elevator. Maya turned her head. It records the lobby? Not officially for front desk review. It's for elevator incidents. Falls, stuck doors, that kind of thing. He pulled a folded maintenance form from his pocket. Main desk camera went on hold at 9:28. Elevator camera stayed live. Maya looked at the form but did not reach for it. Why are you showing me this? Mr. Lewis's jaw worked once. Because I watched that woman hold the counter like she was trying not to fall, and I told myself it wasn't my place. He stared at the ambulance bay floor. My wife died in a waiting room in Macon. Different hospital. Same kind of desk. I promised myself I wouldn't be that man again. Then today I was. The words sat between them heavier than apology. Maya took the paper. This doesn't prove what Denise did.
No.
But it proves the footage exists somewhere they forgot to bury. Upstairs, Marcus Carter stood alone in Founders Hall with his father's old keychain in his palm. Evelyn had handed it to him from her hospital bed without explanation. Just a look that made him feel 12 years old again. The same 2 open hands were cracked into the leather. He remembered being a boy under the old front awning, watching his father kneel to help a man with no shoes fill out forms. He also remembered signing budgets years later, approving efficiency targets, praising Cynthia for reducing uncompensated bottlenecks because the numbers looked clean. Clean numbers. Dirty doorway. His mother's oxygen tube whispered beside him in memory. He called compliance, then legal, then grace. I want audit logs preserved by outside counsel, he said. Not internal IT. Grace's voice was steady. Good. Because internal IT reports to operations. Marcus closed his hand around the keychain. Cynthia. Yes. He looked through the glass down toward the lobby far below. I didn't see it. Grace did not soften the truth. No, Dr. Carter. You didn't. Downstairs, Maya went back inside. Not through the clinical doors, but through the public lobby like any visitor. She kept her shoulders straight as Denise looked up from the front desk. Denise smiled at the empty place where Maya's badge had been. Maya did not answer. She walked to the vending machine near the children's corner and bought a bottle of water with the last cash in her pocket. In the third row, the little boy with the blue backpack sat beside his mother, swinging his feet. Maya crouched at a respectful distance. Hey, buddy. Were you here this morning when the lady in the wheelchair went back? His mother stiffened. Maya held up both hands. I'm not asking for medical information. I'm trying to find out if anyone has the full video that was being shared. The mother studied her face, then looked toward Denise. Fear passed over her quickly. People lose things around here, she whispered. The boy unzipped his backpack and pulled out a phone with a cracked purple case. I recorded because she was being mean, he said. His mother closed her eyes. Maya did not touch the phone. Can your mom send it to patient advocacy? The mother hesitated, then nodded once. At that moment, Maya understood the old paper differently. No patient enters this house as a burden was not just a pretty sentence from a dead founder. It was an instruction, and instructions meant nothing unless someone was willing to carry them when it cost something. Maya stood and looked toward the elevator camera's green light, then toward Grace waiting near the advocacy office door. She had the maintenance form. She had a witness. She had a path to the full video. If she stepped forward now, there would be no quiet apology, no easy reinstatement, no pretending the damage had been a misunderstanding. Maya walked to Grace and placed the form in her hand. I want to file a formal retaliation complaint, she said. And I want the elevator footage pulled before Cynthia knows we found it. Grace moved fast after that, but not carelessly. She pulled compliance into a locked review room, called outside counsel on speaker, and made Maya repeat the timeline with the maintenance form beside the cracked purple phone. Marcus Carter arrived without a jacket, sleeves rolled to his forearms, his face quiet in a way that made everyone else speak lower. He did not ask Maya if Denise was cruel. He asked where the clock was in the visitor video. He asked which screen Denise had turned. He asked Mr. Lewis who had authority to request camera maintenance. Maya pointed to the reflection in the clipped video, then to the elevator angle on the security map. The fake clip starts after the oxygen check, she said. But the lobby clock shows it was recorded after Mrs. Carter had already been assessed. It makes me look like I rushed her for no reason, Grace added. The audit log shows the appointment was active before Denise touched it. Outside counsel opened the system record on the wall monitor. No one spoke when Evelyn Carter's name appeared, then changed to incomplete intake, then no-show under Denise Harper's credentials. Denise was called in first. Cynthia came with her, calm as polished stone. This is harassment, Cynthia said before sitting. My front desk staff followed policy. Marcus nodded to the monitor. Then explain the policy. Denise looked at the screen, then at Cynthia. Her insurance was incomplete. So why mark her no-show while she was standing at your desk? Grace asked. Denise's mouth opened, closed. She became disruptive. Maya placed the visitor's full video beside the conference phone. The little boy's recording played from the beginning. Evelyn's soft voice. Denise saying people came with old papers and old stories. Maya asking for oxygen. Denise saying they had real patients waiting. Then the line came clear through the tiny speaker. "Don't waste a bed on someone who can't pay." Denise whispered, "That's taken out of context." Mr. Lewis connected the elevator footage next. The angle was high and cold, but it saw everything. Denise turning the monitor, Denise's fingers moving, the paper sliding back, Evelyn's hand gripping the counter. The false clip died in the room without anyone needing to bury it. Cynthia still tried. "This is an internal personnel matter. We should not damage the institution in front of the board." Marcus looked at her. The institution was damaged at the front desk. 1 hour later, the public board meeting was moved from Founders Hall down to the lobby. Chairs were arranged in rows where patients had watched Evelyn be erased. Staff gathered near the walls. Denise stood near the counter with her arms locked tight. Cynthia kept her tablet against her chest. Maya stood beside Grace, not behind her. Marcus faced the room beneath the Silver Mercy Bridge sign. "Before we discuss expansion," he said, "we are going to discuss the front door." He played the timeline without drama. Audit log, maintenance hold, cropped video, full video, elevator camera. Each piece landed harder than shouting. Denise was given a chance to respond. "I was protecting resources," she said, then heard her own words and seemed to understand too late what they confessed. Cynthia stepped forward. This was one employee's poor judgment. Grace tapped the tablet. "Operations received 3 prior complaints about front desk screening this quarter. All closed without patient interviews." The room shifted. Staff looked at Cynthia now, not Denise. Then the elevator opened. Evelyn Carter stepped out in a hospital cardigan. Oxygen tube gone. The old leather keychain in her hand. Marcus crossed the lobby and took his mother's arm. A sound moved through the crowd when he brought her to the front. Denise stared as if the floor had disappeared. Marcus did not raise his voice. "This is my mother," he said. "But before she was my mother, she was a patient. And this hospital failed her the moment someone decided her coat mattered more than her breathing." Evelyn looked at Maya, then at the front desk. "My husband built this place with one promise," she said, holding up the keychain. "No patient enters this house as a burden." The lobby went completely still. The sentence could no longer be framed, edited, or deleted. For several seconds after Evelyn spoke, no one moved. Then Marcus turned, not to the cameras, not to the board, but to the front desk where the damage had begun. "Denise Harper, your access to all hospital systems is terminated effective immediately pending final reporting to Human Resources and Compliance." Denise's lips parted. "Dr. Carter, I didn't know she was—" "That is the point," Marcus said. "You should not have needed to know." The words struck harder than anger. Cynthia tried to step in, but Grace placed a folder on the counter before she could speak. 3 prior complaints. 2 ignored patient interviews. 1 operations memo about reducing unfunded congestion. Cynthia looked at the pages and, for the first time, had no polished sentence ready. By the end of that week, Denise was gone for falsifying intake records, deleting a patient's appointment, and lying in an internal complaint. Cynthia resigned after the board opened an outside review into screening practices at the front door. The 2 clerks who had signed statements against Maya were not fired, but they were required to sit in front of patient advocacy and explain why fear had been easier than truth. One cried. One could not lift her eyes. Maya listened, but she did not comfort them. Forgiveness was not a shortcut around responsibility. Her own meeting came last. Marcus offered her badge back in front of the staff, not in a private office where shame could be hidden. "Nurse Reed," he said, holding it out with both hands. "This hospital owes you more than reinstatement. It owes you the truth on record." Maya looked at the badge, then at Evelyn, who sat in the front row with the leather keychain wrapped around her fingers. Maya took it, but she did not clip it on right away. "I'll come back," she said. "Under one condition." The boardroom went still again. "The front desk changes before I do another shift. Not a memo, not a poster. A real patient advocate station there. Someone with authority to stop this from happening to the next person who walks in tired, scared, and alone. Marcus did not look offended. He looked ashamed, and then he nodded. Done. 3 weeks later, the silver sign in the lobby was still there, but beneath it stood a new desk with blue lettering. The front door promise. It was not hidden upstairs near legal. It was not buried behind a phone number. It sat beside intake, close enough for any patient to reach before fear swallowed their voice. Mr. Lewis trained security to preserve incident footage without waiting for permission from operations. Grace led listening sessions with patients who had been turned away. Marcus attended the first one and took notes by hand. Evelyn came only once, carrying a small frame wrapped in brown paper. Inside was the old appointment slip, the one Denise had pushed back like trash, the one Maya had written on with a black pen. Beneath the faded hospital logo, the founder's sentence remained: "No patient enters this house as a burden." They hung it behind the new desk, not as decoration, but as a witness. Maya clipped her badge on below it. That afternoon, an older black man in a paint-stained jacket stepped through the lobby doors holding a folder against his chest. His eyes moved from the front desk to the waiting room, measuring whether he belonged. The new clerk stood before he could apologize for needing help. Maya watched from beside the front door promise as the clerk walked around the counter, offered him a chair, and said, "Sir, let's get you seated first." The man's shoulders lowered. In the glass beyond him, Maya saw Evelyn's framed slip reflected over the lobby, the old words hovering where the deletion had once happened. This time, no one disappeared.